Okay, I'm going to talk about trickle-down economics. So, a lot of people like to say that trickle-down economics doesn't work, right? And you could call it Reaganomics, right? So, ever since Reagan was president, he drastically lowered the tax rates on the wealthy people, and the result of that was what? Rising wealth inequality. Okay, so wages have stagnated, and despite that, productivity has increased. So people look at this, they look at what happened, and they say, well, obviously trickle down economics doesn't work. But I'm going to give you a different outlook on this, okay? I'm going to tell you why this mentality is wrong. Okay, so the truth is that trickle down economics is doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter. It's not the problem, okay? The problem is a lack of class solidarity. The problem is a lack of class consciousness. And what do I mean by that? Well, the problem is a lack of organization among middle class workers and lower class workers, okay? The working class. So for example, a lot of people like to blame capitalism. And again, they like to say that trickle down economics doesn't work. But that's not exactly true, because what capitalism does is it gives ownership to an owner, right? It gives the owner the rights to the profits. But say you have an owner and you have all the employees below that owner. If the employees organized in such a way that threatened to strike, right? They started a union, and in effect, if the owner didn't pay the employees for the true value of their labor, those employees would strike and stop the profits from coming in. Then the owner would be forced to concede if they wanted profits, right? This is this is the problem with the theory, or saying this is the problem with saying that trickle down economics doesn't work. It does work if the middle class is working together, if the middle class are organizing into labor unions and creating labor strikes, threatening labor strikes, right? The problem isn't trickle down economics. The problem is a lack of class solidarity. And the thing is why is the working class not consolidated? Why are they not working together? Well, because the media divides them, right? They divide the middle class along racial lines, culture lines, gender lines, right? Or religious divides. There's all these divides, and instead of focusing on the economy, they put all their attention into these other divides, these other social issues. So if instead they put all their focus on the economic issue, then they would organize into labor unions. And what would happen is the end result would be trickle down economics would start to work, because the owners would be forced to pay the employees for the value of their labor. Otherwise, their profits stop coming in. Okay, otherwise they can't manufacture the goods and services that they profit from, right? So it's not really accurate to say trickle down economics doesn't work, because if you look at the last 40 years, 43 years, whatever, there was very little class consciousness, and class consciousness is kind of decreasing still. And it's you can see that, right? It's with all of these social divides we have. If the social divides are increasing, there's a very good chance that class consciousness is decreasing, because people are, again, they're distracted, right? They're distracted by these social issues, or maybe they're just distracted by materialism or consumerism. Maybe they're just too busy, I don't know, watching TV to think about these issues. And then who do they blame? Well, they blame the ruling class instead of themselves and their lack of organization. That's the thing. The ruling class is very good at organizing. Okay, they're very good at organizing for profits. And if you are not equally as good, then you're going to get shammed, right? You're going to get shafted. So, class consciousness, I make this point in a lot of videos, it's all that matters. The working class has to work together, and if they don't, they're not going to see the value of their labor. And that's it. It's that simple. So, what do? Again, you start labor unions, right? But I'm going to give you a concept, this concept of labor union musical chairs. Okay, so what does that mean? What do I mean by that? So let's say that, for example, UAW, the United Auto Workers, they strike, and they get, maybe they get concessions, maybe they get higher wages, they get what they ask for, right? Now, for a couple decades perhaps, the United Auto Workers, the people who manufacture cars, they're going to be making money, and because they demanded the true value of their labor with this labor union, right? But what happens to the fast food workers in the meantime? Well, the United Auto Workers, the owners who own the car companies, they're going to raise the prices in order to pay for the higher wages for the United Auto Workers, right? So they raise the prices. Everyone else who's not in the United Auto Workers union has to pay for those prices because their wages are not increasing. They're not in a union. So again, the fast food industry, for example, they or Walmart employees maybe, their wages stagnate even farther, right? Because or maybe they even decrease technically because again the inflation's rising. So it's basically what's happening here is again labor union musical chairs. It's basically whoever was in the most recently joined a labor union are going to be the only people who are benefiting from the labor unions, and everyone else is going to be shafted, right? Because they're going to be paying for the inflation. So the solution is again working class solidarity. That doesn't mean solidarity within one market. That means solidarity across markets. That means workers have to organize in the automobile industry and the food industry. They have to organize across industries. Otherwise, again, we just kick the can down the road. We're playing musical chairs, and whoever's left without a chair when the music stops is paying for the inflation. Really simple concept if you think about it. So again, national strike. That's your answer to the problems. It's true class solidarity. It's true class consciousness, not this I got mine and fuck everybody else, right? And that's kind of what labor unions do in isolated markets. I made another video about this concept not too long ago. Bottom line is, trickle-down economics can work. You just have to demand the true value of your labor, and the only way you can do that is by talking and organizing with your fellow employees across markets. Otherwise, again, we just kick the can down the road, and if you're not in the most, if it's been 2 decades or 3 decades since you've joined a union, you're paying for the inflation that is caused by all the other labor unions, right? Again, so when a labor union demands the true value of their labor, when they demand higher pay, it's usually not coming out of the CEO's pockets. It's usually coming from an increase in prices. So the cars get more expensive. Everyone who isn't part of that labor union, their wages are stagnating. They're paying for that inflation. And again, United Auto Workers thrive while the food industry or Walmart employees or whoever it may be, whoever's not in a union, whoever hasn't demanded recent concessions in a union is getting shafted. So again, national strike. That's what we need. Thanks for watching.